party. It's a party at Atlas.
Look, it's Sparfogle. Look, it's Sparfogle. Told you.
Nice.
Yakshamaj, everyone. Welcome to another Atlas Telecast Tuesday. I'm your host, Dan Keynes, and today we have special guests Mark LaFleur from Old Fast Glass and Clint Lialos from Ancient Optics. Welcome, gentlemen. How
Thanks,
are you guys
Dan.
doing today?
Great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Good to be here.
Are you guys brothers?
Might as well be
Yeah,
at this
at this
point.
point.
I mean, they look like they could be brothers. Like,
We've been getting that for 20 years. So, yeah.
What do you all think? Audience, hit us in the comments if you think that these two, we got to do a 23andMe.
Oh, man.
Or a 28 to 70 in us.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right?
The shitty thing is I'm definitely the older brother.
Wiser, man. Wiser. I'm learning from you every day.
You just got to start reverse aging. I'll get you on my whole
Give me some.
kick,
Give me on something.
my supplement stack, and my exercise routine.
Nice.
But yeah, great to see you, gentlemen. I know Mark. We got to say hi for a few minutes at NAB just a little over a month ago, and yeah, here we are back in beautiful Glendale, California, at Atlas headquarters. If you don't know, we do these live streams every Tuesday at around 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and every Wednesday we do Wednesday Lens Day, which is our open house event, literally every Wednesday from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 in the afternoon here in Glendale, California. Hit us up in the DMs or drop a comment if you have questions about Wednesday Lens Day or want to know how you can attend. It's happening literally every Wednesday, so don't have fear of missing out, but bring your lovely selves down here and say what's up. And today we're looking at us through some very special new offerings. I know some of us were at the Pacific Northwest Lens Summit, which was our topic for the live stream last week. We checked in with Josh Cabrera and Eric Hall from our team who attended and had a fantastic time. And something very special that you showed,
Yep.
kind of not together, but like that go together pretty well at the summit. Were you at the summit?
I couldn't. I wanted to.
I totally understand. I wasn't able to make it either.
Didn't make it.
It's tough.
Yeah,
But
I
how
had
was
to
it?
carry the flag. It was awesome. What a great event. That was my first time at Lens Summit, so new experience for me. But wow, really great community. Corner Camera is like the place to be for that. Those guys are awesome. Their team is awesome. The whole event was just really fun. Everyone just kind of showing off what they've been working on. So it was. I mean, I don't know. It's like the best event I think there is.
It's
for
kind of
lenses.
like a Wednesday Lens Day on steroids.
Yeah, we'll call it that.
But like Pacific Northwest style. So you have some very interesting and unique Portland culture.
For sure.
That happens at that event, right?
For sure.
It's basically a community-centric event where people get together once a year, and it's like a car show of lenses. People show off their new developments, some of their favorite classic lenses, and it's really a great lens geek hangout. So
For sure.
I wish I was there. I think maybe next year I'm going to have to be there.
There's also fire-blowing bagpipes and llamas, tattoo parlor. So it's a lot of fun, actually.
I heard this is a no-drama llama, but I'm looking forward to meeting the
Drama llama.
Yeah.
That llama was really cool, actually. Unlike most llamas.
Most llamas spit. This
Yeah,
one's
this one was chill.
no spitting,
Yeah.
Just hugs.
no hitting.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. So, for everyone who's out there in the audience, we're looking at ourselves through some very special offerings that have been cooked up by these two gentlemen and some of their collaborators and partners. I guess we could start with the camera. We're looking at ourselves through, what do you like to call it? I was calling it the Fuji 65, but...
That was kind of our working title, just like to use internally, but the official name is OFG Custom 65. So OFG Customs is Old Fast Glass's sister company, where we just we kind of make some prototypes. It's mostly for our rental inventory, but occasionally something makes sense to make it a sales item. We're just like dipping our toe into that. But this was just trying to take advantage of the new Fujifilm GFX 102 and make it a more production-friendly kind of full-size studio version of the camera. that's a little more plug and play.
I love seeing the assistant side SDI outputs, the assistant side monitor configuration. Really very nice rig, very assistant friendly, operator friendly, and rigging friendly. I see you've got a nice EVF on there. It looks like you got some bright tangerine accessories on there too.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
It's a hodgepodge. People have been calling it a Frankenstein, but for us it was like, if we didn't have to reinvent something, we didn't. So we used some off-the-shelf stuff. Like we used Wooden Camera's new top handle. We used Bright Tangerine's EVF setup. We used Aries Bud for the base plate, and Aries beautiful shoulder pads, which are just such an easy way to rig the camera, easy to go from handheld to sticks, easy to counterbalance. So if we didn't have to make it, we didn't. But obviously a lot of it, basically the box that surrounds the camera, was all a custom one-off to make this camera more user-friendly. So it's like half original designs and then half off-the-shelf stuff.
Do you have any idea what BUD stands for?
I did.
The bringing up in device.
Yes, exactly.
Bringing up in. It's very
The
German.
bringing up in device 1. That's what we're using.
Bud one.
Airbud 2, I'm a fan. How do you gentlemen feel about that movie?
Still on my list. Things to watch.
They're paying homage to Airbud. And Ari, thank you, Ari. Good looking out.
So yeah, it was for us. It was here's this camera that has, I mean, one of the largest sensors outside of Alexa 65. Let's take advantage of it. Let's make it more user friendly, and make it something that people don't have to just figure out, like, all right, how am I going to build this camera out? And yeah, Fujifilm's color science is incredible. The image we're looking at here is just straight out of the camera. Great skin tones, massive sensor. Just a fun project for us. And there are a lot of lenses that do cover this sensor, which we've discovered. And some of them are just, just happen to throw a lens on there. If we get a new one, you're like, oh wow, it kind of covers. Like this, when Clint dropped off the first Phenix zoom, we just threw it on there, and it doesn't cover fully, but it covers from about 32 millimeter, and it's like, that's great for a compact zoom lens.
A great one you have to try is the Nikkor 14 to 24 2.8. Tried that one?
Oh yeah, we have it in the ruby flavor.
Oh,
the
ruby
focus,
style.
Focus optics.
Very nice.
So,
Shout out.
Yeah, covers from about 16 millimeter and up.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's that one looks nuts.
Yeah, that's a nice lens.
Definitely some shockers.
Yep.
A lot of the tilt shift lenses should work pretty well too. Like 35 format tilt shift will have a huge image circle usually. So.
Yep. Yeah, it's been fun discovering what covers and surprising people that there are actually a good amount of lens options for this format.
I don't know why people would call this a Frankenstein. I would call it Bride of Fuji Stein.
Thank you.
Way more beautiful than Frankenstein's monster.
Thank you.
Yeah.
By the way, Frankenstein's monster, everyone. It's not Frankenstein. Frankenstein is the doctor.
Thank you.
So come on.
Let's clarify that right
Yeah.
now.
Which implies a lot of strange things about Bride of Frankenstein. If we're thinking that the doctor created his bride, this is problematic in today's era.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sure is.
I'll have to ask Mary Shelley about that.
I got to rethink this whole camera.
Or Universal Pictures, I'm not sure. So, yeah, I'm loving the image out of this thing. And audience, drop some questions and comments below. What do you think of the three old men here on the stream today? Let us know what you think of how we're looking in the stream through the Fuji, the OFG Customs 65 Mark
Yeah.
1. Mark 1. Get it? Shout out. Yeah, Clint, tell us about the Phenix. Like, usually Phenix is something I get at Panda Inn. I don't know if y'all have had Panda Inn before, but
Nope.
if you've had Panda Express, Panda Inn is the OG grandfather of Panda Express when it was like a real sit-down restaurant.
it.
And they still have several restaurants here in the Southern California area, and it is so good.
Okay.
What is Phenix?
Phenix chicken is just like
Phenix chicken.
some Americanized Chinese food that's
Oh,
like
okay.
slightly spicy, but Phenix chicken,
Got it.
it's good stuff.
Okay. Yeah. No
Kind of
relation
like
to the
orange
chicken.
but slightly spicier.
Got it. Got it.
Basically.
They're trying to use the fire as the
Yeah, there
spicy
you go.
part. Got
There
it.
you go.
Because it's a bird on fire, right?
Exactly.
Got it.
There you
Spicy chicken. It's not a spicy chicken lens, but it is called Phenix. It's very compact. It's full frame coverage. I mean, GFX coverage from 32 on. If if we're talking about coverage. 3.5 pounds, 110 millimeter front, so it's really small. And that was sort of the goal with this lens, was to make something that was small, middle range, fast, parfocal. You know, there's really nothing like that out there, modern or vintage. I mean, I guess there's some modern offerings, but there's definitely no vintage offerings with any sort of like vintage characteristics. So that was really our goal with that, and we teamed up with Iron Glass, who was really the only company who would take the challenge, because it's a really hard lens to rehouse. Anyone who's been inside of it can see that there's many movements that are all happening simultaneously, and that makes it kind of a nightmare to rehouse, especially to keep it small. So really proud of the Iron Glass guys. They did a really fantastic job. It took them, you know, maybe 6 to 9 months to really pound this thing out and get it in shape, and here it is now, and it's working perfectly. It's already been out on a few shoots. We've tested it extensively. We've kind of, you know, beaten it up, and the thing's still perfect. So we're really happy with how it turned out, and excited to get them out into the hands of everyone who ordered them already.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And couple questions about this. So,
Sure.
Are you taking people's donor lens that they send in?
No.
Or are you're pre-selecting?
We're pre-selecting. Like we always pre-select with all the Ancient Optics products. We're trying to, you know, get rid of any of those hiccups we're going to have in the production. So people will send in their lens and they'll say, yeah, I want to use this lens, but then when we take it apart and the thing they thought that was going to clean out doesn't clean out, and now we have to scramble and get another lens for them, or they have to replace the lens. So we just sort of eliminate all of that hassle. We find the glass ourselves, we QC the glass ourselves, we prepare it for production so that there's minimum wait time is really the goal that we're going for at Ancient Optics. Minimum
I think
wait
that's
time.
one of the big benefits that Ancient brings to the table, is sort of curating really well done rehousings that are unique. So it's great to see you working with Iron Glass, because I think that their attention to detail and their ability to communicate even in wartime and like
Absolutely.
still continually improve their products is astounding.
And
so big shout out to those
big
guys.
shout out. And they're doing leaps and bounds. Like, I mean, anyone who's followed them remembers the Mark One Soviet lenses that they had, and that wasn't, what was it, 2-3 years ago, maybe.
I mean, first they were like putting a PL mount on the original housings.
Yep, and polishing them and stuff like that.
Then Mark One, then Mark Two.
To Mark II, and now they're doing the most complicated vintage zoom rehousing that you can imagine, and it's all cam system, and it's all flawless. So yeah,
I think
hats
it's
off to those
really
guys.
great to see how this comes together as a parfocal completed product, because you know, when you start with an SLR base lens, there's so much copy variation from lens to lens, and mount variation, and like even in any DSLR or mirrorless camera lens, a lot of the positional information for those optics is sort of left up to being on the fly, in the sense that a lot of it can be taken up with autofocus.
Yep.
So marks are not critical, parfocality is not critical in Sills lenses.
Yep.
But it's great that the design optically, if in the right positions, maintains parfocality. And so when it's built
it.
mechanically correctly, putting the optics in the right place, it's gonna actually deliver on the dream. And like sometimes with a stills version, with a remount or whatever, it may accidentally sometimes be mostly parfocal, but sometimes mostly not.
Yeah. And I think that I'm sure few people, there's plenty of like lens geeks, lens lovers like us out there that might have multiple copies of a lens, maybe even as many as like 5 or 10. But I think that maybe there's probably a lot of people out there listening right now that underestimate copy variation and just how drastic it is. I mean, when Clint and I started talking about this, the 28 to 70 as a viable project, we tested a bunch of them, and no two were the same. And in regards to flare character, is it parfocal or not? Is it sharp? How does it? And like looking on looking at them on a camera and on a lens projector. And so, and going into what you said, someone could easily send in their lens and think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
They might not even realize just how good the lens can be until
Yeah.
you've seen one that's actually, really good. And you could look at others where you're like, oh, why are you even bothering with this lens? This lens is junk if you've only seen a bad one. So yeah, copy variation is just in the still lens world, it's extreme. And in this lens, same with anything else we've looked at, like same with like old fast glass lenses that we put in our inventory. We'll sometimes have to look at like 8 versions of a lens before we rehouse it, to get one that flares right, that's sharp, that doesn't have any issues. So with these, it was no different, and it just makes everything even more complicated that there's a lot of versions of the lens as well, and they are, a little bit different, and then copy variation within that. So it's a lot.
I think another fascinating thing about this lens is that there's so much lore that surrounds it. So maybe that's another reason it's called Phenix, is that, some people attribute it to being an ingenue design, some people attribute it to being a Tokina design, and it's been implemented in so many productizations over the years, ranging from, what would we say, 1988 to like 1992 or so.
Even later. I mean, there's an SV version that they were making in '96 to 2000 something even, which was like a little bit different than this one, a little bit cheaper. So yeah, there's a lot of versions. There's a lot of lore. I can't take credit for the name. Actually, Mark came up with the name for this lens.
Nice name.
He comes up with most of the names. To be
Gotta
honest.
get that Phoenix chicken, my guy.
Yeah, let me know. I gotta
this.
try it.
Yeah, but it's the perfect name. Yeah, it's really kind of rising up from the ashes, because everyone knew that this lens was the perfect lens to rehouse if you could rehouse it. And we all know that Kim Camera did it, and I don't want to take any shots at Kim. Kim did a great job for what he was doing. He didn't do all 4 of those movements with the zoom, so some of the parfocal ability is lost there. But you can understand why. It's extremely complex and difficult to do. So.
Have you spent any time? Have you visited that guy or spent any time
Kim?
talking to him?
No.
I'll tell you some crazy stories. So, those guys
perfect.
don't even use computer-aided design. They're doing everything, not only machining manually, but they don't even have technical drawings.
I believe it.
So
I believe it.
it's pretty impressive,
Yeah.
given that there are no blueprints or computer-aided design at all.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, it's certainly one way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I had his lens.
Yeah.
I've owned several of the Kim
Yeah.
camera lenses and used them happily.
Yeah.
Just wanted to correct some of those things that you were just like, oh, if it just did this. So it wasn't like everyone knew that if you could rehouse this lens, people are going to want it, but it was just a matter of, can we do it, or who can do it, and it turned out Iron Glass could.
Yeah, again, going back to Kim's version, which I'm sure a lot of people have them out there. I think it's a great lens for like an owner operator, someone who can baby it, someone who kind of gets what it is. And we had 2 in our rental inventory, and it would kind of go out with a little bit of a disclaimer, whereas this is, I think when people get this lens in their hands, they're going to approach it and work with it like they would any modern cinema lens. And so the quality is there. I mean, and back to the name, that's kind of where the name came from, is like, in a lot of ways the project sort of died for us, where we kind of abandoned it, of like, well, got the Kim camera version, it's fill in the gap, it's small, it's compact, it's got the glass we want, can we do something at a higher level? And kind of everyone said no to us, so the project died. And then the project came back with Iron Glass accepting it, and honestly, I think one of the things I really love about that company is that they are willing to take a challenge, and I think that we've got great partnerships with a lot of lens rehousing companies, and I can understand why people say no to projects. I totally get it, and a lot of people said no to this. I think even before even looking at like how difficult actually is it, just like, no, this is probably a can of worms, maybe we don't want to go down this road. And Iron Glass was like, let's do it. Let's see what happens. And just seeing those early builds that they have, it was like, oh wow, you guys are really taking this seriously.
They were pretty confident
Yeah.
too. In the beginning, they were like, "No, we can do it," and I was like, "Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like you sure you can do it? Like it's got to be everything, all the things, partifocal, all this." And they're like, "Yeah, no, we think we can do it," and they just did it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
kudos, Iron Glass.
Amazing.
They deserve a lot of credit.
Awesome. Do we have any questions coming in from the audience for Mark or Clint about the Phenix or about the OFG Custom 65?
I have a question. How long did it take from the idea to actually building the 65?
So as soon as Fujifilm released the camera and we saw the specs and we saw the images, we decided this is the camera to do it. And from that point of like, all right, we're doing it, let's buy one and tear it apart. From that to this version here, which is the ones we took to NAB, was almost 6 months,
6 months, yeah.
on the dot. We had a prototype that was totally functional in about, I'd say, 4 months.
Yeah, 3.5, 4 months.
Yeah, 3.5, 4 months, and the finished version, yeah, a couple months after that. Big shout out to Cameron McAlpine, who is basically the heart and soul of OFG Customs, who designed and fabricated this mod and a lot of the other mods we do. He's brilliant. And yeah, I mean, from where we started, we weren't quite sure what was even possible. And Cameron really pushed the project forward and tried to squeeze as much performance and as much just like add as much functionality to it as possible. And we even have a couple more changes we want to do to the next version of it. Small stuff, but things will just make it even more user friendly.
It's kind of like Iron Glass in the same way. He was like, "Yeah, no, we can do that. Yeah, no, we can do that too." And we're just like, "Okay."
Yep.
can you do 2-pin on the front? Can you do 3-pin on it? Yep. Just yeses to everything, and he delivered.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And the base mount is LPL on this, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we're starting to see. I mean, we're kind of going that direction on a lot of our cameras. LPL isn't quickly becoming an industry standard mount, and just like I really like that Arri with the Mini LF and then the Alexa 35 deliver their cameras stock with an LPL and then an LPL to PL adapter on it, and that's exactly what we did. And so both mounts, the PL adapter and the LPL, are shimmed to the camera, so your flange depth is always perfect. And then we try to do that with every camera we have in our inventory. Everything's just LPL PL combo. That takes care of 98% of our lens inventory.
Do you like
really
to use
easy.
the DENS FDC for back focus? So if you don't know out in the audience, the DENS FDC is the best tool on the market for setting back focus on your camera body or your camera body adapter. It's something that we carry here at Atlas Lens Co. We will check your camera or your adapter for free any Wednesday Lens Day and make recommendations on adding or taking shims out. And we can teach you how to use the FDC. It's a super easy to use tool.
Yeah, it's great.
Super powerful, and just a game changer in terms of making sure that things are set up correctly. And it's a great thing to demystify that, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about how cameras and lenses work on even that fundamental level. So
And
it's
how
a great baseline.
And how important it is for anamorphic lenses for
Yep.
your flange depth to be perfect. Any lens, but anamorphics in particular, because your image just goes out completely. But yeah, we test every camera as it comes back. It's part of the QC process. We test everyone, and then each camera has its mounts that are paired to it and that are labeled that way, so that every camera is always in perfect spec. But yeah, it's really important.
I think another cool thing about that mount is you can take that mount off and go back to the native Fuji mount. So if you want to use autofocus lenses, like the Fuji native lenses, you can do that. Or if you just want to do that Fuji mount to any SLR,
Yeah, because it's
adapter,
mirrorless, so you can put anything on it.
anything.
It'd be really great if Fuji added focus by wire implementation, so you could drive those autofocus motors
that'd be
through an external handset, like a Tilta Nucleus handset or something like that.
Heard
I
it,
know it has the
Fuji.
right radius.
Come on,
So
Fuji.
come on, Michael.
Yeah, you got it,
You
Mike.
could do this, Michael.
I know, and I'm sorry.
Just
I
use ChatGPT.
have to apologize for these guys saying Fuji. It's
Fujifilm. Sorry, Fujifilm.
Sorry, Michael.
Fujifilm.
Abbreviating.
We're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
Blame me. It was my fault.
Fuji just.
Michael will
it's
take it
easy
out
to
on me
say.
later.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Michael. I'll get you some Phenix chicken, bro. It's all good, right? Phenix chicken makes everything better. So, Haji and B, if you can help us pull up some off-camera questions or all this, we have. By the way, if I haven't already given a huge shout out, B set up this beautiful setup that we're all in today with the lighting. B's operating the switcher and operating the cameras. Hajin's helping operate the switcher. And we've got all this.
Get in there. Get in
pop
there.
in cameo, bro. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Show us. Yeah, what's up? And all this is taking your questions. So I can actually swap a lens, and maybe we could do some. We'll make it a podcast while the lens is changing, so you could do some audio. If you have questions, just toss them right out to Mark and Clint here, while I switch to a Mercury lens, and we can see how a Mercury lens might cover the Fuji film 65.
Quick learner. He did
There we
OFG Custom 65 and he
Yep.
did Fujifilm.
Yep.
Just one
Thank
correction.
you, Dan.
You are good at this.
Good job, man. It's because I ate my Wheaties. No, I didn't eat my Wheaties. I'm fasting this morning. I did my exercise routine, so I'm feeling great. So I'll pop on there, and we'll see what kind of questions we can take from the audience.
Alright, what are we swapping to here?
42 Mercury.
Cool.
Everyone will freak out because it'll be squeezed a little bit.
So we can do internal D-squeeze here, right?
Yeah, there's a mode. Don't go to the anamorphic mode right off the bat. I think they call it like. Can we switch to this one so I could focus?
Alright. Do you know what I'm looking for here?
I know what to do.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have
I
to.
tested his camera a couple months ago.
Oh, thinning.
Comments? Okay.
Jacob says, all three of you guys look like bros.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jacob.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know. I'm gonna say yes. Just say thank you.
This is what you look like when you just talk about lenses all
Iron
day.
Glass Adapter says, thank you for trusting us, Ancient Optics.
Yeah.
Full trust.
Iron glass, full trust.
So what made you pick that specific lens to rehouse?
This, I mean,
So many things.
So many things. It's the all around best vintage zoom lens, like specifications, image wise. It really does everything that you want it to do. It just wasn't in the right form, you know. It's this.
Is that the original?
It's the original, yeah.
Wow.
So it zooms really hard. The focus is really short and small.
And if you, I mean, there's definitely no shortage of 28 to 80s, 28 to 70s, 24 to 70s. A lot of them are incredibly complex to rehouse, also. But not only is this lens pretty much parfocal, like in its original form, but it's also fast at f2.6. It's small, close focus. You can get to a really good place, and the look is really beautiful. So Ancient Optics does the Voigtlander 36 to 82, which is like 1950s. You know, pairs really well with like really old lenses like Baltars and rangefinders and stuff like that. Then there's the Canon FD 35 to 105, which is like a little bit newer, slightly more modern coatings, pairs well with like K35s, FDs. And then there's this, which is like another generation, an optical evolution, and still vintage character, not as overly sharp, overly contrasty as modern lenses, but you can shoot it wide open, you can blast it with light, it can handle backlight well, it's small, but it still has like really nice character. So other lenses like Minolta Rockors or the new Fuji EBCs, Nikons. There's a lot of lenses that this pairs well with, and I mean, from a rental house perspective, I can't tell you how many times somebody asked for a compact full frame lens that covers this range, and we really didn't have much. We'd either try to, give them something like the Voigtlander, which is a beautiful lens. It's quite a bit bigger than this, and a lot more vintage character, much softer edges, especially at the wide end. Whereas this really fills a gap and you can pair it with so many popular lenses right now. It just checks so many boxes.
Definitely. And what kind of lenses are you seeing people pair, or are you pairing with the Fujifilm?
With this,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, this is so new. It's only gone out a couple times. We sent it out with Ancient Optics Minolta Rocors, which cover really well out to 28 millimeter. I'm excited for people to see the new Fuji EBCs on it. That set covers all the way out to 24 millimeter, which 24 mil on this sensor is very wide, and it's really striking. The black wings cover really well on it, so those have been a choice. And Tokina Vista Primes cover really well. Really excited for somebody to take it out with anamorphic options, and honestly, the Mercuries are probably the best option we have right now for this sensor. 1.5 squeeze factor works really well, and they illuminate the whole sensor. I mean, if that's a small HD monitor, but they won't see it.
We won't get the output.
They won't get it.
It's all
yeah.
good. You know, a previous firmware that I was using would let you go and configure it fully, but something about this doesn't let
Yeah.
you do that. And you know,
And for folks,
okay.
so what we're trying to do right now is get anamorphic on the coming out of the camera for the outputs, so that we can show you what it looks like at home. If you are shooting anamorphic, and so we figured this out, what we've been kind of telling people is shoot in the 16:9 4K mode, which uses the largest part of the sensor for shooting video. And these, the Mercuries do cover it, and then you can, the monitoring that we have, we just de-squeeze for monitoring on set, and then you obviously just de-squeeze in post. But we're trying to de-squeeze for you so that we can see it in the outputs that you're watching. But bear with us. But don't worry, shooting anamorphic on this camera is not hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it done before.
We had, when we were at NAB, an Atlas Mercury lived on one of our cameras the whole time, and it looked fantastic.
What kind of projects do you think Phenix would be good for?
I mean, that's the great part of it, is it's so versatile. It can kind of be on any project. I think they're going to see a lot of use on Steadicam, crane shots, Ronin setups, anywhere where you don't want to have to change the lens or rebalance. You need to act fast, move fast. I think that's going to be a sweet spot. I think you could shoot a whole project with this lens. 28 to 70 is pretty good range, so I feel like a lot of people are going to
switch to it.
Just leave it.
just use it as by itself. But also, personally, one of the reasons I really was excited about making it is I came from documentaries. Mark came from documentaries, so having this useful range on a documentary is what we've all kind of been waiting for, and nobody's really been able to make a lens that would satisfy us for a documentary. So I'm happy to give this to the documentary guys, to be able to go out there and have something lightweight with this range and this speed and this coverage. It's gonna be really special for them.
Yeah, if you're shooting doc on, any camera, but some lightweight package, FX6, FX3, anything, I feel like this lens would just live on that camera and wouldn't come off until you needed something specialty. Between the close focus being really solid, it's so lightweight, it covers the range that most of us are working in. But then, like you said, any application. That's why we kept coming back to this lens and why we never gave up on it. It's even compact and light enough to put on a drone. It was the clear choice.
Very nice. So, audience, you're looking at us now through a 42 millimeter Mercury in the 16:9 recording mode, and it's not de-squeezed, so bear with us. We just don't have the right output configuration for
We're
that.
gonna grab
That's
a
okay.
port keys as like an intermediary.
It's,
We can- yeah.
it's not a big deal.
It'll look
We'll
good.
probably end the stream before that happens. So you can see it's covering the 16:9 recording mode, and for those of you out there who've been wondering, how do the formats on this compare, I've got a great tool for you from Phil Holland. It's called phfx.com format compare. So try format compare, you can see that the 16:9 recording mode in 4K on this camera is actually basically very similar to the 16:9 recording mode on an Alexa 65.
Yep.
Like basically 1-to-1.
Yeah,
exactly.
Almost
And we've-
exact, right?
We've put Mercury's on the Alexa 65 in that 16:9 mode, and that will give you a 2:6:6:1 CinemaScope style aspect ratio. So it's a very beautiful combination, much like what you're seeing here. But you know, this is a lot more attainable, a lot easier to get your hands on and try,
Yeah.
and put on a job. So
And for comparison of what Dan just said, that 266, that's exactly what so many of us got used to getting out of a camera like an Alexa Mini with
Yeah.
2x squeeze anamorphics. You'd end up with a 266:1. You just crop a little bit off the edges to get to 240, and that's exactly what this is. So 1.5 squeeze anamorphics like the Mercury's are really perfect for a sensor like this, where you're using almost the entire sensor to get to your 240 if that's what you want, or if you want the full 266 or 21. It's nice because you're really not cropping very much. You're using a lot of that giant sensor.
boom,
Oh,
look at
stunning.
that.
Damn, they
Nice
got
work.
it.
Wow.
Shout out, big
Oh,
shout
look
out
at
to
that.
Wow.
B and Hodgin making
Yeah.
that happen in
That
like
looks
2
great. It
It
seconds.
looks so good.
So yeah, here we go.
Boom.
42 mil on
Damn,
the
that's
Fuji
wild.
phone.
Yeah. 42. It's crazy.
Look at that.
That looks fantastic.
Yeah.
The size of that thing is ridiculous.
So, should people make an appointment to come to Old Fast Glass to test out the Phenix and the Fujifilm OFG Custom 65?
Yeah, and I think that for those who don't know, lens testing is a huge part of what we do. We really promote it heavily. We want people to really know what they're getting into, understand the camera, understand the lenses that they're trying out, rather than saying, you know, I think I've seen some footage and I like those Todd AOs, that's what I want to shoot on. We prefer someone to come in, test it out, test it against a few other options, make sure it's right for you. The lens might be bigger, heavier, you know, funkier than you expected until you see it in person. And so, yeah, if you want to test out the OFG Custom 65 or any of our lenses, we actually just this morning finished building our second lens test studio. So we have our main one, which Dan, you've been to several times, and now we have kind of a smaller studio that's really easy to completely black out. So if you want a smaller space or a private space, we have a second lens test studio now. And yeah, anything we have on the shelf, if it's available, you can make an appointment and test it.
Very cool. And Clint, how should people get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can just email Clint at ancient-optics.com or on Instagram. It's always me responding, so you can just reach out that way. We are taking orders for the Phenix. Right now, it's a pre-order price of $13,500. Taking deposits, they'll deliver in 3 to 6 months.
Wow, that's nice and quick.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. The Phenix, the OFG Customs Fujifilm 65, and how good Mercury series lenses look on the OFG Custom 65 and other 65mm format cameras. Please stop on by Wednesday Lens Day tomorrow morning, or tune in next Tuesday for a Telecast Tuesday with Atlas. Not sure what we're going to be talking about next Tuesday, but we'll figure it out. And gentlemen, are you going to be at Cine Gear this year?
No booth, but we'll be walking around.
Floating around? Well, you're always
Yeah.
welcome to kick your heels up at the Atlas Saloon
Well, we definitely will be at the
here
saloon.
at
But don't miss the saloon.
Warner Brothers this year. So I've never
Yeah.
done Cine Gear at Warner Brothers. I don't know if they've ever done it in the past, but all the years I've ever done it, which is over 10 years now, like over 12 years,
Yeah.
it's always been at Paramount or Downtown Convention Center, which is absolutely terrible, but Paramount is absolutely beautiful. But I'm excited to try Warner because one of my favorite things to do every Cine Gear is get the Warner Brothers lighting department or grip department mugs. It's a tradition in my household. Every morning I wake up and I see my beautiful Warner Brothers mugs. I'm really excited to bring my mugs to their home and drink coffee on Warner Brothers lot with my Warner Brothers mug. And we're also going to have some of the CinemaScope Baltars that were used to
Ooh.
film Rebel Without a Cause
Oh, wow.
that were Warner Brothers camera department on loan from 20th Century Fox.
Oh,
So
super cool.
see yourself through the lens of history at the
Yeah.
Atlas Lens Co booth at the Warner Brothers lot at Cine Gear, with authentic Warner Brothers camera department lenses.
Those are special.
From 1954. So really excited about that. A little bit of history, a little bit of old, a little bit of what's new. And we're going to be unveiling some really exciting things that will go very well with the Phenix and other OFG and Ancient Optics products
Super
soon.
excited.
Hope to see you soon. So thank you for tuning in. Everyone, drop a link or a comment below. Any questions you have, we restream these. But otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow at Wednesday, or see you next Tuesday. And thank you so much. Have a lovely day wherever you are in the world. Take care.